the adoption of cloud is increasing, but so as the threats that are present with the adoption of this cloud. As a fun fact, we should know that organizations are still shelling out sort of more than 1.5 billion annually for their SIEM services, but they are struggling to fend off these modern threats. And the typical threats of insider threats, persistent threats, application threats are still being not discovered. And typically, rule-based and signature-based security systems have failed to prevent the most serious data breaches over the last years. And the cloud has brought in further threats like new types of ransomware, different types of account hijackings, performing crypto miners in the cloud, and also having a lot of automated attacks in the cloud due to its availability and scalability. And the attacks are typically becoming heterogeneous. So a typical attack spans different parts of the enterprise and crosses various resource types. For example, it can start from an IoT device, proceed to an endpoint, spread to a cloud service or to a database, involve multiple user accounts or tenants, and so on. So what we're seeing is that the landscape is also becoming heterogeneous, where we don't have a division on the threats that are visible to the enterprise. But on the other side, it's not all doom and gloom. We are seeing that the cloud is also bringing opportunities to the SOC. Your security operations can be better enabled for many use cases that they want to use to detect and respond to these changes. Big data is basically changing the way security operations behave. And we usually see these changes every 5 years happening, and a big change is happening right now. The amount of security volume, the amount of data that we can handle has now been traded off against the telemetry. So we are able to get in more data than before. We are able to stop driving blind. So, for example, we are able to perform exercises where we can sort of detect the unknown threats by performing a long-term analytics. Dream bigger. Storage and computing prices have changed over time, and that's now allowing us to open up analytics and machine learning to the security operations activities. We are also able to bring in virtualization and detection analytics, for example, to sort of visualize and move forward in predictive analysis of threats that are coming in. And the recent Forrester report actually tells us that the adoption of these security analytics platforms will sort of lead the pack, and helping organizations to sort of customize this and map it against a risk framework will sort of bring more success to the detection, investigation, and flexibility that a service provider can provide its customer.
We've seen a lot especially with our large enterprise customers, where they're at that stage where they're wanting to migrate over to a cloud native architecture. There's certain steps that they need to adopt, but they ask us, what are the advantages between going for a cloud-based SIEM solution versus a cloud native? Because there's a lot of technologies out there that claim to be cloud-based, but there is a distinction between cloud natives and cloud-based, isn't there?
As someone that been long enough, to see the shift that going from on-prem to the cloud, when I remember we start in one company and we had requested the VM, so you go to the VM guy and you ask for 8 gig of RAM, and because you don't have, he gets you 4. So always a joke that you request the double amount of resources that you want, and you only get half, because when you go to the on-prem, you saw this large data centers. It's really, really complex and really, really hard to get those resources on-prem. And we see it with our customers when we need those resources. It's really, really hard because it's involve a lot of money, and it involve doing a lot of design and order those VMs or those virtual machines, the physical machines that we will use. And we're going to the cloud. We see this shift where it's in a click of a button. So you just need a VM. You just click on a button and you get it. You need some kind of resource, you just get it, and you now pay for the things that you can consume, and you don't longer a commit for infrastructure, year ahead, and you know that you need to reuse them in the cloud. Just can set it up, and when you don't need it, you can just delete it and forget about it. So this is why a lot of security teams are going to the cloud, and by shifting to the cloud, the flexibility and the scalability that they get is enormous. So if we look on the on-prem and we know that we need now a higher performance, or we need now to process more events, we see that it's hard. And when we go to the cloud, it's really, really easy, because in the click of a button and you have more VMs, you have more resource, you have more tools that you can use.